You're listening to the Mannered Podcast. Welcome back to Mannered, the podcast where we explore how to move through life with charm, class, and just enough self-awareness to keep you from becoming that person at the holiday party. I'm your host, Sean Rhodes, and let's talk gift giving because nothing brings out both the best and the weirdest in people quite like the holidays. Today is a solo show. I'm running this one on my own, so I'm going to do my best to scour the world of best etiquette advice for holiday gift giving. And let's start with a simple truth. A gift is an expression, not a transaction. It's not a scoreboard. It's not a did they spend what I spent comparison game. Gift giving done well is about thoughtfulness, not price. And the best etiquette rule? Give because you want to show appreciation, not because you expect something in return. If your mindset is, oh no, what if they give me something better? Take a breath, let it go. Your job isn't to match them, it's to express you. So I know today I'm going to be taking a lot of my own advice because this is something I really struggle with, and I think I way overthink it every single year. You know, Christmas, birthdays, everything becomes more stressful than it really needs to be. It's all about the meaning of that gift and what you believe it will mean to someone. So we're going to go over some tips on, ways to find the perfect gift, but, it's really great advice just not to overthink it. And my personal new advice that I'm going to follow is, think about the gifts that you've really appreciated over the years. And I'm guessing it's not things that cost, the most money that you've ever received. It's the things that have a lot of sentimental value that mean something to you that pertain to your interest. Just don't overthink it. Have fun with it. And this is really just an expression of you and the person you're giving that gift to. So, people always ask, what's the perfect gift? And my answer is always, it depends. But what's the formula that never fails? This is something I've tried to search for. Like, is there an actual formula we can follow to make sure that it's the proper etiquette and manners and that sort of thing so we're not overthinking it? What I found is a perfect gift equals something they like plus something they'd never buy for themselves. And this is something most of you have probably heard over the years. It's definitely something I've heard. It's a pretty simple formula. So, it's not expensive, not flashy, just thoughtful. Once again, a perfect gift equals something they like plus something they'd never buy for themselves. So, it's always fun to find those things out there. Maybe it's their favorite coffee beans from a local roaster. Maybe it's a framed photo from a moment that you shared. Maybe it's a book by an author they admire. Or, one of my favorite things is my wife and I, for years when we were dating, we would always, I shouldn't really talk about this because I'm going to incriminate myself, but we would walk downtown Denver and see these loose bricks down there. And I've always been like, man, it'd be cool to have one of those bricks. So on a date night, we picked up one of those bricks and brought it home. And a gift is to have, our anniversary date inscribed on that brick, from that street in Denver. So please don't come after me, Denver, for taking one of your bricks. Once again, it's something that means something. It's just a simple brick, but it meant a lot to us. So thoughtfulness wins every time. I got to give my dad a shout out on this one because, he's famous in my mind for always saying, I would talk about my best birthday I ever had, which was when I believe I was 10 years old and I flew into St. Louis and my dad picked me up from the airport. It's the first time I ever flew alone, but he picked me up from the airport and we immediately went to the mall in St. Louis and we ate at a Chinese restaurant at the mall. In my mind, it was still to this day the best Chinese food I ever ate. And then we watched 3 movies at the movie theater back to back. And afterwards, we walked along the Mississippi River, toured like a battleship and that sort of thing. But it was just the greatest birthday I'd ever had. And, I was telling my dad that, not too long ago, just to this day, it's just one of the best memories that I have as a kid. And my dad said, what did you get for your birthday that year? And I had to stop and think, and I could not even remember. I had no idea what the material gift was that I received that year, which just goes to prove that, in our memories and in our minds, it's all about experiences. It's all about that memory. So that's what you're going for in gift giving. And thank you, Dad, once again for that wisdom you've instilled over the years. Let's move on to talk about some awkward situations that have come up with holiday gift giving and that sort of thing. Once again, the things that create those awkward moments is one of them is someone gives you a gift and you didn't get them one. If I could see a thousand hands raised, I think I would see it on this one because I think we all do this where there's just random occasions where you're given a gift and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't get you anything." But then we scramble around, we try and like run through our closet to grab things. I'm not gonna like name specific people or situations here because they might listen and then it create even more awkward moments. But the etiquette tip is don't panic, don't scramble for excuses, just respond with gratitude. Thank you. That was so thoughtful of you. I had no idea that you'd be getting me a gift. That's so wonderful. Thank you so much. Then remember them for next year. And then that next year you might get them something and they didn't get you something. It'll start a funny, every 2 years gift exchange type thing. So, the other one that a lot of times I think creates those awkward moments is you received a gift you didn't like. When that happens, do not, and I repeat, do not announce your disappointment. That's the gateway to creating a very awkward moment and a bad experience for you and the gift giver. So, just say thank you, smile, move on. Regift it later quietly if you must. Try and remember and make sure you're not regifting it to someone in the same circle or something like that. But I think about one of my worst memories personally of like how I felt about myself is when I was a kid. My grandma, she would make all kinds of handcrafted things. She was very talented and gifted at creating things, and every year for grandkids she would make these like homemade sweaters or whatever it might be. And this one year she made me a Christmas sweater with a bear floating in a hot air balloon, and it was bright like rainbowy colors, and I was probably 8 years old or something like that, and I was just like, oh gosh, I there's no way I can wear this, and I unfortunately didn't take the advice I just gave you and announced my disappointment. I was like, I don't think I can wear this, Grandma. This is embarrassing. I'm gonna get beat up for this. And, she felt awful. And then every year after that, all the other kids would get handmade things that had this sentimental value. And I got a card with money in it. And it made me feel absolutely awful. And I think to this day, like how much I would love to have that teddy bear floating in a hot air balloon sweatshirt hanging up in my closet as a memory, even though I didn't like it at the time. But once again, I wish I could go back in time on that one. And once again, so just smile, move on, regift it later. You might end up realizing the sentimental value of it anyways and keeping it for the rest of your life. Who knows? The next one is, you set the price limit and someone blows past it. Gosh, this one kind of drives me nuts. And I think it happens in most families and most circle of friends. But etiquette says stick to the agreed limit. If they go above it, that's on them. That's not on you. Don't feel compelled to top their gift. It's not a competition. Once again, if someone chooses to go above that, then that was their choice. Don't worry about it. The next one on the list is the no gifts, please household. So, if someone says no gifts, honor it. Just show up with a card, a dessert, or a warm handwritten note instead. But, respecting their boundary is the gift. I think of this one all the time because we try and do that with our kids. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people out there are just like us, closets get overrun, toy boxes get overflowed, and it's just a mountain of things and these material things. So we've tried to tell our friends and family, it's like, hey, contribute something to a charity or, invest in a college fund or something like that. That would be fine. But ultimately, like, we're good. You don't need to bring anything, and it's nothing to feel bad about. Bring no gift, and that really is the gift in itself. Now, getting into workplace gift etiquette. This is where things can get a little heated, politically festive, maybe. So I've personally seen a lot of things go right and wrong in the workplace gift giving. So the advice here is keep it neutral and inclusive. Do not try and be too specific because then you're maybe showing favoritism or something like that. It can get you into trouble. So just best advice, keep it neutral and inclusive. Follow the company culture. So obviously, don't be giving out edible pantides or anything, which is just a shout out to a Adam Sandler movie. But don't, even though it might be funny and it might be within kind of the circle at work, keep it safe and respect the company's culture. And, aim for under $25 unless told otherwise. Once again, you'd go broke if everyone in your workplace, depending on how many people you work with, you're spending over that. But, one thing that I've always done in my workplace is just the round robin, the white elephant type style of gift giving, where everyone brings one present and you kind of do the whole, borrow and steal and that sort of thing, which is a lot of fun for everyone as well. And you're not, once again, keeping it exclusive to one person or things like that that make anyone feel left out. These are some things not to do. So, and this really, I struggle with this one because, a lot of workplaces are different, especially out here in Denver, but, it's suggested don't give alcohol unless you're certain it's appropriate. Once again, you don't know. There might be some people that are struggling with addiction or, in recovery and that sort of things. And that can be a challenge if you're giving out alcohol. So, also don't give out overly personal items. We kind of just talked about that. Don't make your boss uncomfortable with an extravagant gift. So that's a big one right there. So once again, like that puts a ton of pressure on your boss, if and you could truly like want to do that, but think about that boss or other employees and that sort of thing. They'll feel compelled to give back, and then when they aren't able to, they'll just dwell on it. It'll make things awkward and weird. So that's my advice there in the workplace. Honor the limit. No one likes the overachiever who spends $100 on a $20 exchange. So that's not generous, that's chaos. So avoid that. Don't be that person. Hopefully this can save you from some of those workplace mishaps and gift giving. Now let's talk about the etiquette that everyone forgets. This might surprise you, but the presentation matters. I've been told this from my wife over and over again, but it doesn't need to be professionally wrapped, but at least remove the price tag, okay? And a little tissue paper or a bow or simple bag, shows you care. Just don't fold it in a blanket and set it under the tree. So, before I met my wife, that was my style, but the presentation goes with that aspect of the grace of providing a gift, the heartfelt meaning behind it. So, show that you put some effort into the actual presentation of the gift. The card matters even more. I think it matters, for the gift giver and the receiver, but having a card go along with a gift, because you can actually have the opportunity to describe why you're giving the gift you're giving to that person. You can describe, how much this means to you to give this to them. And it really, that simple little extra touch can really bring it all home for you. So I definitely think, the card is a great add-on, really enhances things in a big way. So my rule is write one sentence about the person and one sentence about why you thought they'd love the gift. That's a fun little rule to stick by. So once again, write one sentence about the person and one sentence about why you thought they'd love the gift. It's simple, personal, it's powerful. So today's a quick one. That about wraps up holiday gift giving as we're all out scouring the cities or Amazon or whatever it might be for the perfect gift. Just relax. Like I said earlier, take a breath, breathe, enjoy the holidays. This should not be a stressful time of year. Some people overcomplicate things and you lose the entire season to the stress of gift giving. So I wanted to get this one out ahead of it a little bit to let you know that, really just sit down, think of that person that you're getting a gift for, and really think about, once again, something that you think they would like and something that is meaningful to you as well. This is an experience for you as much as it is the person that's receiving it. Once again, try to avoid some of the awkwardness with some of the tips in this from today. But ultimately, just enjoy the holidays, enjoy your family, enjoy your friends, and cherish the moments, because these memories, they're going to be what you remember, not the gift that you got or gave. So, just once again, be in the moment, be with people, be with the loved ones, and enjoy and have a wonderful Merry Christmas. Happy holidays, all.
Thanks for listening to the Mannered Podcast.